welcome to the NEPA Scene Podcast. We're coming to you live from Cole Creative in downtown Wilkes-Barre. I'm Rich Howells. I'm the founder and editor of NEPA Scene.
And I'm Popko. I work for Alt 92.1, and I don't know why I say Alt 92.1. I never fucking say that.
I don't know.
And then I say 92.1. Alt 92.1, and I'm also the Saturday night host of Alt Natives on Alt 92.1. 92.1.
I mean, people are picky in the comments, but I don't think they're going to be that picky.
I'm harder on myself than they can ever be. So
What's the difference?
I don't like saying it that way.
He needed the point.
I mean, there's a point.
In the email, you got specific directions on how to say it, like
Exactly.
you spell it out, the sounds.
Exactly. So I got guys like this.
Very
I'm saying
specific.
this is how you say it, and I go 92.1.
There's no point there.
When you dial it in, there's a point.
What's
Right?
your point?
We still can't decide if it's NEPA Scene or NEPA Scene or whatever. I say NEPA Scene because anybody
normal person.
outside of the area
Has
does
no
not
idea.
know what a fucking NEPA is.
No one knows what an NEPA
Is
is.
that a
But
But at least if you spell it out, there, you assume that maybe it stands for something.
Acronym.
You know, yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I took us way off track.
Yes.
Take
So
two.
tonight,
Anyway.
we're here for a special episode where I explain in detail why the Howells family has the worst luck ever. But also, thankfully, we have a great community to support us. My immediate family lost their West Scranton home and everything they own on Christmas morning in a fire. So we're going to talk about the whole ordeal and how everyone's doing, along with this huge benefit show coming up at the Kirby Center in Wilkes-Barre on Friday, January 18th with Lifer, Behind the Gray, The Crowning, Send Request, Anytime Soon, Noxen, Nate Williams, Zack Hammond, and Dan Hoppel. So we have a good mix of those performers here tonight. So we're going to talk about the community coming together, the strength and struggles of the local art scene, and much, much more. So please join our conversation. Stay tuned for the full hour. We would love to hear from you. We have a ton of guests here tonight, so I'm sure you have at least one question or offhand comment for one of us, so please, by all means, jump in here. We were talking about all kinds of weird stuff before this, mostly about facial hair. I think we all have facial hair in some form or another, so you could say maybe who has the best facial hair. Whatever you think, we'd love to hear your questions and comments down below. It's much more fun when you guys participate, so please do that. I'm going to need some cheering up after all this. So, but before we get into the interview, we have some beers to drink and some sponsors to plug quick. You just picked up the stuff from Beer Boys in Wilkes-Barre. I'm not sure exactly what you have this week, so what do we have here?
This is Free Will Blushing Apricot Sour.
Oh, that sounds good. I wanted that last week. They had that on special.
Oh yeah, you're
I
right.
think.
New Holland Dragon's Milk. That sounds like
Okay.
something out of what's that TV show that
Lord of the Rings.
everyone
Game of
watches?
Thrones.
I don't watch.
Full House.
Game of Thrones.
Little pal.
No, I think this is Full House. This is a very special episode of Full House.
Full list.
By the end of this, we're all going to be
House.
crying and holding each other. It's going to be real
Bob
weird.
said
we're
he's gonna
filling
tell
quotas.
us everything it's okay.
And a nice cold refreshing Coors Light. You know,
Oh yeah, well that's
it's on special tonight.
You got a group of guys, so you're gonna have some Coors Light.
Yeah.
Which tonight is their glass night, so you can get a Coors Light and a free Coors Light pint glass. They have a half price happy hour on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays from 9 to 11. Fridays and Saturdays from 8 till midnight, and live entertainment on the weekends at 10 p.m. and there's never a cover. Beer Boys' annual anniversary event is also coming up too. 19 beers for 19 years coming up on Saturday, January 19th from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. with 19 different beers to try from Susquehanna Brewing Company, including special brews you're only going to be able to get at this event. I went last year and it was awesome. So they pick a different brewery every year. We love Susquehanna Brewing. We've had them on the show before, so I'm excited to go with that again this year. I don't recommend drinking all 19.
Samplers.
Yes, but sample, sure, but don't drink 19 pints.
Don't be
How many
stingy.
drinkers do we have here?
Yeah, how many people are actually drinking here?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Sure.
7.
Okay.
Peer pressure.
If I must.
Like how you thought about it for a minute, you're like, yeah, I'm going.
Making a mess
I think
again.
Ace ever says no to anything. The list is very small.
That's a good That's a good quality to have, I think.
You like crack?
Well, we are in downtown.
We're here, you know.
I think you're real fun on Friday. Like, no one didn't say no to anything on Friday. Like, right before you guys said, like, hey, have you tried meth?
I lost so much weight on that.
Body by meth.
Weight, teeth. What is
Sounds like a fantastic infomercial.
So which one's this one? Is this the Dragon's
Where's
Milk?
this
or-
coming out of?
Yeah, it's weird. It's got a hole like in somewhere.
You know what?
Did you like not read the user's manual? Like,
I hate to see what the
how do you
toilet
give
seat looks
yourself
like after you're
formula?
done.
How do you work through that process?
Breastfed.
Oh, wait, see, okay, fine, all right.
He's on that titty. Well, not anymore.
Honey, put it in the bed.
No, you're on it.
Sometimes. I hope she's not watching.
No, too late now.
Yeah.
Oh, look at
Play
this.
it back.
Look at this. Nah, she won't.
No, okay.
In case I haven't mentioned, this is not a family show.
Right.
But bring the family next Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. It is an all ages show next Friday, which is really cool because they're rare nowadays, especially with such a big lineup.
This looks like a Guinness.
Pass it down.
Sort of
This is
stout.
yeah, we didn't get to that. The New Holland Dragon's Milk. Milk.
Woo!
That counted 7, right? We're all good? Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Perfect.
Here's a little sniff.
Oh yeah.
How you doing, Ace? Ace is the biggest drinker in the band. Oh, yeah.
Drunk.
That just changed his life.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Tastes like liquor.
Yeah. That's strong.
This is the dragon's milk, right?
Yeah.
It's got a little hint of
Yeah,
Jaeger.
taste
I
in the
think
name.
it's got a little too much dragon.
Straight out of
Real dragons.
Game of Thrones here.
It tastes like a mix of Guinness and Jaeger a little bit.
I love when people start explaining like
see
what
that.
an alcohol they've never had taste like. Because immediately I go to Anchorman. I'm like, I'm gonna be honest, that's pure gasoline.
Yeah, try it, dude.
So I got 5 years sober. So I'm
Yeah,
just
dude.
trying to-
We're not ruining
Oh,
lives
nice.
here. We're not going to ruin lives here.
I got 5 years sober.
Oh, no, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And he's an asshole drunk.
It's an asshole
That's what he-
sober.
But he's worse. He said he's worse when he's
No, I don't drink because I'm concerned about what I will be.
Proactive.
Yeah.
Right, that's right.
Respect it.
I apologize, yeah.
I don't know,
Don't
man.
apologize. I'm just saying.
It's thick.
I know who I am like this. I don't
Yeah.
want to find out who I am without inhibition.
Right. I just
Al
thought,
was the asshole.
I thought you knew you were an asshole when you drank. so
No. I know I'm an asshole
you're
like this.
scared. I get it.
Yeah. No, I'm
look-
concerned. I'm not
look-
scared.
Okay. Better word.
All right, let's plug the V Spot to one of the most popular bars in northeastern Pennsylvania with live entertainment every night of the week. We all love the V Spot. This week they have Banks and Cruise on Thursday. The big four of NEPA metal: Threat Point, Slapjaw, Beyond Fallen, and Prosody playing on Friday, which is a bold statement, I must say, to call yourselves the big four of metal. I respect the balls on you guys. So.
Beyond Fallen, he was sick, wasn't he?
Yeah.
good now, right?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, good.
Yeah, he had like walking pneumonia and stuff when he did the NEPA like metal meltdown last
Yeah.
year. He had like walking pneumonia and then immediately followed by like
Who is it?
Joe, the lead singer of Beyond Fallen. Yeah, he had to bail out of that show. He was
Yeah.
in rough shape.
I'm glad that he's okay. Like without that guy to like organize shows like that.
Yeah, because it kind of like fell on the dudes in like Threat Point, I think, afterwards too. Because he didn't even come to the show. I don't think. I did sound for both those days, and he was way out of commission.
And those are great shows. Those we played. I think the first night.
Is that where I met you?
Yeah,
At
the
NEPA?
first time.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
the first
yeah.
time I met you. Those were great events.
Yeah, they were awesome.
Yeah, that's when we did our podcast actually.
Was
I
it?
think
Oh,
it was
yeah,
to
it was.
promote
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
it was right like the week or two before
Yeah,
that.
the first time I went to V-Spot. That place is amazing.
Yeah, great stage to play. Dance Hall Devils performing pop, punk, and rock hits from yesterday and today on Saturday. And DJ Huff is hosting karaoke on Sunday. And thanks again to Vinny and Frank at the V-Spot for your generous donation. Among the many donations that we've gotten through the GoFundMe and everything else, I'll thank all those people later. But thank you guys specifically for doing that. And you want to plug your meat?
My meat?
Yeah. You want to whip out your meat for everybody?
I'm so happy I'm sitting over here.
You are on the casting couch.
This is the
Beard
worst.
Bang
couch.
2019.
Beard bang, yeah.
Beard Bang. Copyright.
Wildmeats.com. Go to it.
What is it?
Wildmeats.com. Beef
It
jerky.
sounds suggestive.
Do not spell that any other way.
Yeah, you'll be on a list somewhere. But no, seriously, it's not just for holidays. It's gifts. You know, I mean, it's good stuff. I had a friend who got it for groomsmen gifts. It's a nice little add-on.
Yeah.
But you can save money there by using the code word POPGO and the number 10. You'll save 10%, or POPGO free, you get free shipping. So
go to a website called Wild Meats.
Wildmeats.com.
Use a promo code that has pop in it.
This is all just
See what
clickbait.
happens.
This is all clickbait.
Do it.
Not real.
Do it and see what happens.
Invite all your kids around the computer.
Yeah.
Then go to dicks.com.
Let them
And
I
then
can tell you
click
how
on
many
I'm
times.
feeling lucky.
I can tell you how many times I've gone to dicks.com on accident.
And then disappointed.
Every time. Disappointed every
I
time.
feel like it's even more like suggestive now too because he's wearing an Eagles jersey. And today I was trying to do like an Eagles meme, and I was like, "Oh, Google meme, Big Dick Nick." Did not work out good.
Why do you bring up sports? I thought we could get through this whole thing without having to bring up the Eagles.
Why? Are you a Bears fan?
I was a Bears fan. No, yes, I have the sad thing of being a Bears fan for the last 20 years. Yeah, I know, Lions. Yeah,
Yeah, Stafford stinks, dude.
yeah.
What?
You guys
He's
have
a
had better
bum.
runs in the playoffs than we have, that's for
Phil,
sure.
his offensive line is terrible.
Yeah.
Line is
That
terrible.
we could-
Stafford's he's the only player playing.
Gets paid way too much
Sports.
money.
We're like,
That's
we're
why he
writers.
doesn't have
We're
an
like,
offensive
sports,
line. He
yes.
gets paid way too
Team,
much
go
fucking money.
team.
Yes.
You guys big sports ball fans over there, I
Yeah,
can tell?
yeah,
Very
when-
much
when-
so.
When he
Like
slam
sports
dunked
ball.
on the field, yeah, you know.
Yeah, we went down on record as the team that double doink out of the playoffs, which
That's a great,
really
great
sucks.
phrase. Yeah. Double doink.
Moving on.
Yes.
Anyway,
Just like the Eagles.
Nice.
Too soon.
All right. So I guess I'll briefly kind of run down everything that's been going on lately. So we talked a little bit about it last week. So if you tuned in to last week's show, I'm not going to try to cover too much of the same ground and just try to get to the point of everything. The only reason I don't have one of my family members here, by the way, who was like actually literally affected, I'm kind of like affected through the family, obviously, but not, it wasn't my house that went up. So it was my house that I grew up in. So there's the emotional attachment. But the reason I don't have any of them here is they all hate the spotlight. I do too. I hate being on camera, but I do this every week. I don't know why. I guess I hate myself. So anyway.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah, I mean, we're all, artists here, right?
If you hate yourself, why should anyone come on Friday? Like,
Because they love my family.
oh, right.
Yeah, it's my family is way, way cooler than I am.
Okay, okay.
You're not helping this.
He's staying it, not me.
So Christmas Eve, I get a call at like 3:30 maybe in the morning from my brother saying the house is on fire, get over here. It's like the call you never want to get. So obviously, me and my wife popped out of bed, drove down the street. We live right down the road, so we're not far from there. My family lives in West Scranton, a couple blocks away from West Scranton High School. The whole place is on fire. Thankfully, everybody's out of there. My mother is already, at that point, on her way to the hospital. So I'm getting the story secondhand from everybody else. My brother is I have two brothers. My brother Jordan, who lives there. My brother Justin, who lives across the street, my grandmother's old place. So I'll get to that. But around 3 o'clock, somehow a fire starts. It's an old house. My parents are always behind on things. We didn't have house insurance because my parents always financially struggled. So it was kind of one bill on top of another on top of another. It never really quite caught up. And there was a lot of things wrong with the house that they were never able to get fixed. And obviously nobody's going to insure a house that has a bunch of problems. So little things kind of break down, and eventually this happens. We're still not sure why. The fire department was looking into it. They haven't said anything. I don't think there's been any rush on their part, just because there is no insurance, because the insurance company wants to figure out ways to not pay you. But since there's no insurance, I guess they don't care, and they think, it's a wash, So my mom wakes up downstairs. My father and my brother are upstairs, and the entire downstairs is on fire. Every room is covered in flames. So she tries to call up to them to get them out, and they can't get down the stairs because the dining room is on fire. So she somehow, I don't know how she even thought to do this, but she runs through the flames, her arms on fire, her face burning, gets outside, gets to a ladder that's outside that my dad left there probably 6 months ago and didn't move, and thankfully he didn't. So one time procrastination pays off. Grabbed the ladder, ran to the front of the house, and put it up onto the front porch, which has kind of like an awning area there, and they were able to get out the window. So other than my father got a little bit of scorch trying to get down the stairs and get out, other than that, he was fine. My brother was completely fine. But my mom was covered in burns up and down her arms, her hands. She got some on her face. So they rushed her to CMC, who then life flighted her to Lehigh Valley Hospital. So she's been there the last couple of weeks. She actually just came home the other day, so this is kind of an update for everybody who doesn't know me personally or whatever. She is finally home from the hospital. She's staying at my aunt's right now because it's nice and quiet up there. My dad and my brother have been staying with me since that Christmas. Me and my wife at our house, which we have a very small house, so everybody's kind of sleeping on couches and stuff. And my brother, who lives across the street, Justin, he lived in my grandmother's old place. So we thought, okay, let's try to move everybody into my grandmother's old place. She passed away a few years ago, and she has a duplex that's been empty for years. So he's kind of just been staying there. But it needs a lot of updating. The bathrooms are kind of built in these old alcoves, like after they moved the outhouse into the house kind of thing. Like we're going back a long time. The house is way over 100 years old. So there's no standing showers in this place. There's only one working toilet. As we started to kind of look at the house and think, okay, how much is this going to cost, that going to cost, whatever, it just came down to the fact that we're not going to be able to move them in there. So that house is kind of a wash as well. So we're trying to sell the property off, which anybody who's ever tried to sell any property in Scranton knows how hard that is, because nobody wants to move into Scranton. So we're trying to get rid of those properties and use that money to get them a new place. So we've kind of been shopping around for affordable houses in the area. In the meantime, they're obviously going to stay with us. So it's just been a crazy whirlwind. People have been really, really great, though. Other members of my family have gotten donations. People have been pouring stuff in. My wife started a GoFundMe, which got over $14,000, which completely blows my mind. Like, never thought we would get that. But to give you perspective, too, on who they are, because obviously if you're watching this, you probably know who I am. But, my parents, my brother Jordan is autistic. He grew up in a time when no one gave a shit what autism was. There was an era where there wasn't any, you see the puzzle pieces and the ribbons and all this kind of stuff on people's cars and awareness benefits and all kinds of stuff. Jordan grew up in the late 80s, early 90s when nobody cared about that kind of thing, and it was very difficult to get any sort of benefits for your kid, and you had to fight every step of the way. So my mom was the person who went to the Scranton School District and fought them every day to get him a helper to help him through school, because he was very smart and could stay in normal classes. He just needed somebody to kind of hold his homework and make sure he went to the right place at the right time and stuff like that. But otherwise, incredibly smart kid, and still is. So they started an NEPA Autism Society at that time, and helped a lot of other parents who had the same kind of issues, who couldn't get their kids into classes and things like that. So they did a lot for that era. And after a while, obviously they just kind of got too busy. You raise 4 kids and stuff like that. It's a little much. So eventually they had to pass it on to somebody else. But they did a lot of good in the time that they did, and I think for somehow people still remember that. All these years later, and they've always been broke, but always willing to help everybody else. It's kind of the same. I guess that's where I kind of got it from. Because this has always kind of been a ragtag thing to begin with. NEPA Scene, most of us do not get paid to be here. This guy doesn't get paid to be here. This studio is, given to us by Cole Creative for us to do these shows. I barely scrape by with a little bit of income, just enough to kind of pay some bills and whatever. Hopefully not get into the same financial situation that my parents have been in, but it's been a struggle. So all your donations, even just people reaching out and saying how much they care and wishing they could do more. Some of the people who donated $5 or $10, that means the world, because I know it's probably the only $5 or $10 you could spare. So that means just as much as the people who donated hundreds of dollars or anything like that. So we all really appreciate that, and it hasn't been easy, but I appreciate everything that you guys are doing, and you guys tuning in to even hear this and listen to this. The weird thing I wanted to kind of talk about too is there's such a good side to this stuff. There's kind of whenever you go through one of these things, you kind of watch it from afar when you watch WNEP or WBRE or any of the local news stations. And you go to Facebook and you see all the ridiculous comments that people make and stuff like that. It's weird when you're on that side of it. It's always bothered me. I never liked that kind of stuff, but I just kind of stay out of that stuff. I don't try to post a lot of political things or anything like that. So I don't like arguing with people. But one of the first things that happened is the WNEP posted an article, and they kind of did, I'll call them out a little bit, they kind of did a half-assed job on getting the facts straight of everything. Because they're trying to condense it for a minute broadcast before they move on to whatever the next story is and that kind of thing. So they kind of okay, this happened, this person's here, whatever, and then they include innocuous details oh yeah, and they own the property across the street. So that was something that for some reason people honed in on, and so the WNEP comments were full of conspiracy people who were well, if this place wasn't insured and then it went up in flames, they have this other house over here, so what's the deal with that? And it's well, that place isn't insured either. It's an old house that my grandmother gave them when she passed away a few years ago. She didn't know who else to give it to. And it's not it's why does everything have to be a conspiracy? So I have to urge you, if you're one of those people, shut the fuck up. And if you're not one of those people, shit on those people. Please go into those comments and tell those people to shut the fuck up, because it's really hurtful when you're going through the worst thing that your family has ever gone through. Your mom's in the hospital suffering, and you have people going, well, maybe they burned their own house down. Yes, my own mother lit herself on fire and then went outside and then risked to get people out instead of just telling them, hey, I'm going to light the house. It literally makes no fucking sense whatsoever, but people do that shit. So I really wanted to mention that, and a part of that is the news stations themselves, who don't include enough facts or put enough stuff in there, kind of do a half-assed job. So I'm kind of calling out both sides on that. And for as many people that donated and gave stuff up and stuff too, my father just told me yesterday, he went into his work email and he found that somebody, I don't know how they found this information out or whatever, but they hacked into his email and tried to email the financial person in his workplace and say, hey, could you forward my next paycheck to this routing number and this address and whatever? And I swear I'm not making this up. So people will find a tragedy and take advantage of it instead. So, granted, a lot more people in this case helped than hurt, but the fact that people like that are out there are crazy. So if you go through something like this sometime in the future, which I hope you never do, keep in mind that there are people who will do that kind of stuff too. You know, there are people who try to create Facebook drama. You know, I posted, hey, I'm so busy right now, I'm very sorry that I can't put together these benefits, but Scott Kucharski, one of our photographers, and Jason Reemiller kind of stepped up and put this whole benefit together that we're talking about tonight. And then people were messaging them going, yeah, Rich is an arrogant prick for saying that he's not involved with this stuff and whatever. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, all I was saying is don't, like, direct them if you want to play the show or you want to be involved somehow. I can't put the show together right now. Like, I'm juggling 100 other things. Like, you don't think about things like, you know, your license is gone, your medical papers are gone. Oh yeah, the seizure medication that my brother takes every day is gone. You know, him being autistic, there's all kinds of issues there to deal with. His family doctor just passed away the other day, so like on top of everything else, so it's like Jesus Christ, like it's one thing on another. So sorry if I offended somebody by posting like I'm not involved in the benefit, but
Dude, fuck that.
it's just crazy. Like,
Say fuck them for just saying anything along those fucking lines. Like from being in bands, I think we've all had like either put on a benefit and know the pains of
Right.
trying to do something good on a smaller scale.
Right.
So if anyone wants to shit on them, just fuck them.
But
Fuck that.
it seems like this. Any time there's something good, we try to make something positive. It's always someone out here who's like, no, that's bad.
I'm not buying it.
No.
Yeah,
you can't be doing something good and then it's gross.
Conspiracy.
Like it's always someone
We
that
had
has
the
to find
exact
a
same
way
thing.
to find
We went
something.
through like as soon as you start talking about it, I'm like, I know exactly what he's gonna say before he goes through it. I'm like, fuck those people and call them out because they fucking deserve it. Fuck
Yeah,
them.
the ones that I saw was like, oh, they did it for the insurance money. It wasn't insured.
right? It's exactly like
Why would
what would we gain from that?
People watch too much 2020 or whatever those.
And that's what it is. It's like,
I'll admit, I'm addicted to those shows.
yeah, I mean, I like it as entertainment, though. It's like you have to realize, like, that stuff's like 1 in a million.
Yeah.
Like, if every single person in New York who is shown on Law and Order killing or raping somebody, all of New York City would be in jail. Like, there's no way that statistically all those episodes would actually amount to the actual crimes committed in New York City. Like, it doesn't make any sense, you know? People need to realize, like, there's fiction and then there's reality. And you're some amateur sleuth on Facebook. You're not going to solve the big crime. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen, you know?
I bet you those same people believe the Earth is round.
Dumbasses.
This is not
Sorry,
the platform. Do not do that.
Too far.
You know, the other thing, Rich, the one thing that's tough too for anyone who people don't know who've gone through any kind of tragedy is there are a lot of people willing to help, and one of the hardest parts is coordinating all that help. Right?
Yes.
Like it can be overwhelming when so many people want to help, and you're like, I don't know what to tell you to do.
Right.
And so a lot of times the best thing to do is just do something. Like go bring a meal. Go. You know, should just, instead of asking even half the time is just go do. And it sounds like a lot of people have come together and done a lot of those things, but coordinating all that is in itself as overwhelming sometimes as the tragedy that you're going through. It's like you don't even know how to respond to people.
Right, exactly. Like I have to give definite credit to my wife, who is, you know, married into the family, but is so involved, more so than even some people were related to. Like she has really, she's good at like making lists and, you know, checking everything off, and this has got to be here and that kind of stuff. So she's really been handling a lot of that stuff. My job has kind of been like handling my brother and, you know, how he's trying to wrap his mind around it. Because like you do this, you know, he if you know anything about autism, it's very much about the routine. It's about doing this, get up every day and doing the same thing in a certain way, so to not live in the same place anymore and have all your stuff gone and stuff like that. That's been a real struggle for him to wrap his mind around. So I mean, like I went out and I went up to One Up Games here in 40 Fort and bought him a PlayStation 4 because he always had a PlayStation. So, you know, that's something to kind of give him some normalcy. You know, it seems like of all the things to buy, why wouldn't you get shirts and stuff? We got so many donations of like shirts and pants and things like that. So I gave him like half my wardrobe to wear and stuff. So we have a lot of clothes now, and we're pretty good on that end. Now it's like, something to kind of just put him back in the routine of like, okay, I always get up and I play this game, or, I get the high score in this pinball game and whatever. Like, there's something about that makes him feel at home, that makes it feel normal. So, there's little things, obviously my parents are kind of worried about that stuff. They're more concerned on the financial end. But for that, for him, that's kind of his world, like once he's, okay, everybody's okay. What about my PlayStation, And it sounds like such a little kid thing to say, but he's kind of stuck in that, little kid mindset. So it's always kind of been like that. It's strange. But, oh, wow, lots of comments already. Thank you, guys. And also, there is another benefit, too, that Peter Kelly, my Uncle Steve, I think, had a hand in it as well, at the Irish Wolf Pub in downtown Scranton on Sunday, January 27th. So we'll talk about that as well, but there's a lot of bands playing that. One of those bands here is actually playing both benefits, so that's cool. But in more of a general sense, maybe not specifically this one, but what makes you guys want to get into the benefits and do that kind of stuff? Because I feel like bands are kind of almost put upon in that way, where you're kind of expected to do all these benefit shows for nothing, essentially. And that's tough, because you guys have to, you guys have to pay too sometimes, So what makes you guys want to go out of your way to do these kinds of shows?
Want to really get a line?
I think particularly, it's the fact that, someone who's going through something tough, and there's, a lot of times there's not a lot, people don't know, who I was talking about before, don't know what to do or how to help. And, doing the band thing is like, it's easy, right? It's what we do. And doing it. Yeah, and if it's something that we can do to, especially when it's for something, for someone who's given so much to the community that we are all a part of. Yep. It's like, it's a no-brainer. It's like, wow, this is the simplest thing it's so easy because we love to do it, and in some way benefits, your family that's going through this tough time. It's not even a question.
Yeah. I think when you strip it down to the simple fact of like, hey, you're going to go play music for a half an hour, an hour, or something like that, and someone is going to benefit their life because of it, who would say no?
Right.
Exactly.
Ever.
Nothing we do is that impactful.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if someone says, like, hey, your song meant something to me, or, like, I found solace or peace, or, like, it spoke to me, that's a huge win as a musician and an artist. But to say, like, I impacted somebody's life for the positive, fuck yeah. Always do it.
For me, you got me back into music full time. Like, so for me to be able to say, I'm contributing to your family and you, like, giving back in some way, because I was always racking my brain, how can I give back to Rich and his family? But this is my way of somehow, even on a minor level, giving back to that. So that was a big thing for me. So when I was asked, I said yes without question.
I appreciate that.
And we rarely get paid anyway.
Yeah, no one's paying me. No one's paying my sarcastic.
We play our music, we don't get paid.
No one wants to pay me.
You get paid in Spotify plays.
Right. We do get paid in exposure, right?
Yeah.
The exposure bucks are far.
You sound like a promoter I met once.
Exposure bucks? I get cents.
Bucks. Oh, you get no, when you're on the NEPA Scene Podcast, you get paid in exposure bucks.
Yes,
it's like the big time.
But I'm the first hip hop artist on it, so I gotta get more.
This is a diverse community.
Wildly diverse. Wildly
I thought you did R&B. I didn't know you did rap.
I do gospel. What are you talking about?
Obviously.
Strictly church music.
I do polka trap.
Polka trap.
That's an idea. Paul will write that one down.
You are just here to fill a quota, you know that, right?
What do you mean?
Which quota?
Elaborate, sir.
Don't just throw
The
that out
handsome
there.
quota.
Yes. It's me and
People who are
Popco.
like, those people that are shitting in the comments are getting so fired up, like, say it.
Say it, please.
Let's see, what are they saying?
It's 2019. I'm gonna be mad for him. It's okay, red shirt. Oh man.
Triggered.
We all wore dark shirts for you.
Holy God! Whoa! Wow! Thank you guys.
Yeah, for the record, we're the only we happen to be the fortunate ones that were able to actually get on the show. There's so many. I mean, there's so many more bands and musicians. As Scott's pointed out, that said, "Hey, we want to play. We want to do whatever we can." And so this is just a small sampling of really the large community that is all about, helping you and your family out. So shout out to all those bands who didn't make the show, but have either shared the stuff or donated or whatever.
I had bands hitting up me. I'm like, I'm just the host. I'm not
don't
rapping.
work here.
And then I had other rappers like, oh, you're gonna rap at the show? I'm like, no. You don't need me rapping. I'm just the
You're not
face.
rapping? That's the whole reason I wanted to come. So we're out. Anybody want to take a spot?
Quotas.
Quotas. No, but it's an honor to help. That's how I feel about it. Just an honor to help someone who's really helped me. I tell my wife almost every day, like, she's like, oh, I always see you sharing NEPA thing. I'm like, well, if you knew where I was at mentally with this, I was gonna stop doing music altogether until I did that open mic.
Well, I appreciate that, and you're one of the few that, and I think any musicians who are watching should take notes. This guy plugs other musicians every day of all genres, and I think that's so important. You don't see enough of that. I know you guys do that too. I've definitely seen you guys do that, but there's so many who it's just you're plugging your own stuff every day, and the Facebook gods are not always going to dig that and support that. But one way that you could still get your stuff out there and help other people is say, hey, we don't have a show Friday night, but these guys do. They're really good. Hey, you should check out these guys. They just dropped a new single, that kind of stuff. Like, that stuff is so important to kind of build a community, because then those people are going to remember that, and they're going to do it for you too. You just don't see enough of that.
I think it's really unique to NEPA too. Like, we have so many. Like you said, we do a lot of benefits and NEPA, and Sunday is almost kind of reserved for the benefit day at our bar scene in downtown Wilkes-Barre. Oh, that was a bit of beer face
Holy
all
shit,
day, man.
Hit him in the chest.
It's sour.
That's a sour, right?
You didn't warn me. It said sour on
Surprise.
Anyone have some Splenda?
That's
Report back.
like a warhead. It does.
Yeah.
And in that sense, it's really
He
good.
wasn't ready.
I'm not sure if I should just pound this or put it down, or what's the best way to get through it.
Sip it.
Pound it.
Man,
It's a sipper.
I feel like
Yeah.
a 2-year-old that just got fed a lemon.
That's that free will apricot.
Free will.
Let me.
So it's worse when you're
I'll do it with you.
prepared.
I won't legitimately be alone.
Yeah, pound it?
I'll pound it with you. You won't be alone.
Ooh.
Dear
man.
God.
Turning colors. You are turning
Who
colors,
the
sir.
fuck makes this into a beer?
It's a nice shade of blue.
I wish I would have had that Coors Light to wash it down with.
We do have
we
some
did
extra.
that out of order.
I'm going to open a Yingling.
Yeah.
This cannot happen.
Should be
This is
Oh,
this
man
is
up.
not for TV
Should be
face.
Man up.
Oh, it's
This
twist
ain't
off.
bad.
Yeah.
Get those bear paws around
Hey,
there.
don't judge me, bro.
Oh, okay. I won't do it out loud then.
Don't give me this man up cisgender crap.
Yeah, how dare
How
you?
dare you identify me?
Man
without
up?
me previously letting you know.
Oh, right.
You
I'm
can't
just
say
it's
man.
2019.
It's 2019, bro.
You know what? I sincerely apologize.
I sincerely accept it. Well, we'll see what Facebook thinks.
Right.
And then
Whose
we'll
side they
decide.
take?
Right,
We'll take
right.
side.
If you
We'll make a
accept the
poll.
apology.
We'll make a poll.
Yeah. We'll see. God. Whew. All right, moving on.
Look at this guy. He's not even sharing it. He just took it for
I
himself.
was thinking.
I like how he's like there are 4 Yinglings here, but there are not other humans here.
Sitting in the lead singer throne, okay?
I thought
Yeah, that's a lead singer thing to do. Look at him.
Nate, get over there and sit in that chair. You're out.
Yeah.
Fight me.
He just came in, like he sat down over there and he saw the chair and he was like, it must be mine. And he just came right over.
I mean, listen, this is an individual serving. I didn't know.
Excuse
You know,
me.
listen, there's 3 other beers you guys can share. You know? And there's plenty more of the sour
Gee, thanks.
stuff.
Thanks, bud.
Hey, I don't have any germs that
Thanks,
you
Chief.
probably don't already have. I'm willing to.
There's 2 or 3 more over there.
Oh my god. I don't think I'm going to be able to get rid of that taste.
Getting on some apple cider vinegar in there. Yeah.
That's what it tastes. It literally tastes like someone took beer
It's a sour
and poured
beer.
apple cider vinegar in it.
I like sours, so I mean, this is a little.
This is a little
top
too. This
one.
is.
So
yeah.
he's basically saying, I'm dead inside. Hey, I enjoy this.
It's not for everyone.
No.
Right.
Some people, that's why they make it.
Yeah.
That's like IPAs. Everybody,
Yeah.
you either love or loathe it. There's
I'm just
like-
happy he didn't know it was coming.
Yeah.
If you didn't know
you
any
didn't
better, it
read
looks
that
just
when
like
you
the
first
Coors.
read it.
Yeah.
I heard peach. I didn't hear the word sour.
You didn't hear peach.
I heard peach. Isn't it just peach?
Apricot.
Or whatever. I heard fruit something. I was like, oh, that sounds.
Is it
you know,
apricot or apricot?
I was just gonna say the same thing. I don't
I
really
think
know.
it's apricot.
That's how I say it.
It's a shame it's not like written anywhere.
True.
Google Translate.
Reading is a skill.
It's just a can of alcohol in it. Just feed it to me.
There wasn't a YouTube video on it. We didn't know.
Yeah, we have no idea.
There wasn't a tutorial. We couldn't figure it out.
Obviously, too, since I gotta like spend half this show like thanking people, I should thank the first responders. They did an incredible job. They got everybody out of there safely. They got the fire out really quickly. They did a really good job. They even were like going through the house searching for photos of any kind to pull out, because my mom is the type too that she had all the family photos. Like, hey, give all your photos to me. I'll keep them all safe. And obviously, all of those are mostly gone now. But they were able to pull out a couple albums and things like that. So that really meant a lot to us. So
Yeah, there's people that go out, put themselves in the way of danger every day for total strangers are amazing.
It's incredible. So they did an amazing job. On the other hand, screw you, City of Scranton. They waited a couple of days, and then they immediately sent a letter. They didn't say, "Oh, sorry, your house burned down" or anything like that. They said you have 60 days to demo your own house, or we're going to come in, do it for you, and send you the bill. So
I read
that's
that, and
another
that blew
thing.
my mind.
That's another thing that you don't think about. Like when these things happen, it's like the last thing on your mind. Like, oh yeah, I have to go and destroy my own house and pay, $10,000 and more. I mean, it starts at $10,000. It's more like $13,000, $15,000.
It is
to destroy your own house, or they'll come in, do it for twice that, and then send you the bill for it. And now you're in debt to the city for X amount of dollars. So on top of any back taxes or anything they had to pay or whatever, you got to call the utilities, shut them off. Comcast still wants to charge you for cable you're not watching, that kind of shit. Like, it's ridiculous. Like the kind of stuff that you don't think about until this stuff happens. So
I'm
and
surprised that there's not been a company that has sprung up in this world that it's like, oh, you had a fire, here's all the thing, you pay us X amount of dollars, we do all this for you. I mean, I'm just. I mean that in a negative, derogatory way.
Right.
Everybody wants to take advantage of tragedies, but it just shocks me that considering all those things you have to do, there isn't a company to profit off of that yet.
It is amazing, actually.
Hammers. We'll take this house down 500.
That's the name of the company. We should name it Five Dudes with Hammers. Not to be confused with Five Guys with Hamburgers. Aren't there comedians on the show?
Yeah, there are.
Yeah,
Right.
let's talk.
There's this fucking guy.
I'm over here pulling all the weight, doing all the jokes. What the fuck, guys?
I was just mesmerized at how much of a fucking alcoholic you are. He had to tell you that it was Twist Up. You were already taking out a bottle opener. I don't even know if
See,
you
I
knew
set
that there
him
was
up.
alcohol on the show, but you just knew there was going to be alcohol at some point
Always be
tonight.
fair.
You should have seen how he walked in here. He was like, "Oh, I smell it."
Well, you have a lot of kids. You got to deal with a lot of kids. Don't you have a bunch of
alone.
kids?
7.
Yeah.
And I'm a fucking grandpa.
Watch TV.
See that?
Were any of
That'll
them
work.
like
I can't
triplets
talk.
or
I
twins?
can't talk. I got 4.
Yeah.
Poor motherfucker.
19.
Literally and figuratively, you poor motherfucker.
had nothing to do with the kids. That all has to do with my wife being poor.
Zach, you and Dan are like easily my two favorite like local comedians, just even comedians in general.
Thank you.
And I don't say this in any derogatory sort of way, but I sincerely hope that next Friday someone tries to heckle you, so they just fucking please.
Yeah, Rich, tell
Thank
them
you.
what fucking happens
Shit.
when somebody just interrupts the act. You were there 3 weeks ago.
Oh, you go out of your way to destroy these people.
Yeah.
It's hilarious to watch.
As well he should.
And that's the thing too, is like it's such a rude thing. I don't understand why people like, for the most part, if people don't like bands, they just kind of like turn around and talk to their friend or something like that.
Tell
With
you to play
comedians,
Freebird.
they really like they go after you and they want to be like part of the spotlight. I don't understand
Because-
what that is.
With bands, it's music, and people treat music, and I don't mean this in any negative way, like just background noise. That if you don't want to listen to it, if you're at a bar or something, and fucking Barbie Girl comes on, you're just like, I don't really want to listen to that. I'll just talk to everybody right now. And they treat music the same way. Whereas if a band's playing, they're like, I don't really like this. I can still go in the corner and talk to someone. Where as a comedian, we're forcing you to engage whether you like it or not.
I
like
think,
one
I
way or
think
another.
it's that people think music is real art versus what you guys do, which is
You're not wrong.
fucking tell jokes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if the heckling is working over here.
I'm just going to agree with you.
But they think they're funny. Like anybody who does that, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm the funny guy in the group." And then they were, if they
so
want to actually
bad.
get up there, they're
But
not.
that's
funny.
why,
bad.
like, when I was coming up and doing open mics, it's so much fun because you see some fucking testosterone dickhead fucking go up on stage.
Woo! Spice.
Oh, I got the best seat in the house. This is gonna be amazing.
You just watch them go up and they're like, oh, I could do comedy. Anybody can do that. And then when they're actually up front in front of people and it's just them and they don't have their fucking drummers or anything to back them up.
Or
Was
in my
that the
case-
one that
or
went
in
too
my
far
case,
right
to
now?
write songs for me.
Yeah, exactly. But they don't have anybody to back them up. It's just you. Then they realize, like, oh shit, like this, like, and they're talking about like the thing that most people do is they'll like try to tell a story, and they're like, and then fucking Cindy. Well, you guys know Cindy because she's my wife. Like, no, nobody knows who your fucking wife is. And nobody cares. And they never are able to do what they think that they're able to do. And that's why it's so annoying to see somebody heckle because, one, everybody paid to get in here. Why are you fucking up their evening?
Right.
Like, it's not just like you're ruining your evening because you don't like it. Like, everybody else's evening is being ruined because you want to run your fucking mouth. And then most people, at least at the show that you were at, are decent. Like, comics in general were just like, they didn't want to go after the person that just kept talking.
Right.
And I don't know if it was because everybody knew I would do something about it. Or they
that
just
was part
didn't
of
want to
it.
ruin somebody's evening. Like, they're just talking, it's fine. Like, no, like, everybody paid to be here. And I fucking do this shit I'm not going to let them ruin my act just because they think it's their birthday or something.
So how do you
Fuck
go
that.
as a comedian? How do you go from being like the dude at parties that tells funny stories and jokes to like being the guy that gets on stage? And
I'm not
totally
the person
sucks?
that goes to parties.
Yeah,
And
you what?
it's the opposite for me. See, like, right now I suck. Like, I can't do this shit. But on stage, I'm fucking awesome. I know that for a fact.
He's
So, I mean, but
relentless.
how did you realize like, oh man, I'm gonna get on stage and fucking entertain somehow with jokes?
I had a girlfriend that was really pushy when I was in college, and I was like, I really want to try comedy, and she's like, well, just go do it, and I was like, I don't know if I really should, and then she just signed me up for an open mic one night, and was like, go up there and do it, and I did it, and I fucking bombed, but it was such an addiction that I went back, and I kept doing it, and I got better, and then I got like a manager and an agent and shit like that. And it
You got
just-
better by whose standards?
by people willing to pay me standards.
It's more than we can say.
When somebody flies me out to the West Coast to tell jokes, I think, all right, I'm doing something right.
That's awesome.
Well, the girl that was like trying to talk over you or whatever, that she was like sitting maybe like two or
Yeah.
three people behind me. She left within like 5 minutes of you doing that.
Yeah, she did.
She did not. She
Cried?
What happened?
Yeah,
She
she
was
did.
pissed.
So there was this girl in the audience that was being just a dumb white girl drinking wine the entire time.
Weird.
Yeah.
Never happens in NEPA.
So, and then during everybody's set, she would just yell out something like they would.
Free bird.
Yeah.
Never heard that before.
Anything like that. Yeah, but that's like shit that she would do. And then all night long, I'm just standing in the back like, shut your fucking mouth. Just shut the fuck. Nobody wants to hear you. Shut the fuck
Oh, it was
up.
before you went on?
Yeah, before I went on. The whole night, she's just running her fucking mouth, just yelling over everyone's set. And I go up within 5 minutes, I'm doing a joke, and she just goes, no, he didn't. And I go, you need to shut your fucking mouth right now. You've been talking the entire night. Everybody's had the decency not to say anything about it. I don't give a fuck. I told her that I hope she like choked on ice, and that she just ended up dying in the middle of the night. And then she started laughing, and I said, no, this isn't part of the act. I sincerely hope this happens to you. And everybody else is just like, oh, this is where the show gets fun. And eventually she stopped laughing because she realized I wasn't having any of it, and then she left. And the best part about it was she is friends with one of the other act's girlfriends. So I'm getting a play-by-play later of how sad and depressed she is over the mean comic being mean to her. And I'm like, tell me more. Send me the screenshots. I need to masturbate to something later. Do this. Let me be very, very clear. I know right now there are some people listening in and they're going to comment or something, well, you shouldn't treat women that way. First of all, if you're talking during any kind of show, your gender doesn't matter. You're a piece of shit. Second of all, if it were a guy, I'd treat them like shit too, because you don't talk during a goddamn show. It's that simple. If you talk during my set or anybody's set and I have the opportunity to come at you, I'm going to make you fucking cry.
Doesn't
I
it
don't
make your
care.
show even better, though?
Sometimes. Because the biggest problem is with hecklers is if you start going after them...
And they're better than you?
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's... Everybody thinks that's the show now, is you shitting on them. Yeah. And I have an act that I want to fucking do. This is what makes me my money. This is what I want to do. So the hardest part is getting everything back on track. So a lot of the times they'll interrupt you in the middle of a bit, and now that bit's fucking gone. And that could have been 5, 10, 15 minutes of your act. So now you have to toss all of that out, handling this asshole, and then now you have to find a new way to just get into something else so you can finish out your act and finish out the night and make everybody happy.
She probably just tuned in. She was like, nope.
Oh, yeah.
Not today.
I feel like that's like the constant battle that like comedians have to have, especially like we've tried to have like you and Dan like on our shows, but like musicians and comedians is that transition. Yes. Because in a musician's mind, like, this is awesome. Like, you have a band, you have a changeover time, which is the audience hates. Audience hates the changeover, waiting for the next band. So if you have a guy up there who's gonna like relax the audience or like get them, you know, continually into the next act or something like that, it's great. But I think it's harder for the comedian to make that transition from either intense live music or some type of genre into like, here's a guy who's going to tell you some yucks.
Yep.
You know, and then like you made a joke about once, you're like, a lot of times not being introduced as a comedian.
Yeah, they'll just say, a stranger's going to come up and, you know, try to make you laugh. Like, that isn't how any of this fucking works.
Yeah, it doesn't work
at
that
least
way.
say the title, like comedian is coming up. Oh, okay, it switches their brain and goes, we at least have to give them, you know, 30 seconds. Well, not even that, just give them 30 seconds to make us laugh if they're worth it. Like, that's another thing. It's still on you to get the audience engaged. Like, nobody's responsible for laughing at you unless you make them. Like, just because you go on stage and you're like, I'm a comedian, doesn't mean that anybody has to laugh at anything that you say. Like, it's still your responsibility. It's your job to fucking do that. And if you can't do it, then you shouldn't be doing it. Like, and that's the hardest thing, is finding something that matches energy. Like, I like metal shows because that's an audience that I can relate to. That's an audience that I can get into the heads of because I say fucked up shit. And for the most part, 95% of metal audiences are like, I want to hear something really fucked up. You're like, here we go.
See, that's why I want to do mixed genre shows, because hip-hop people are like, I take myself entirely too seriously. I'm the coolest thing on earth. And I'm like, I'm just an angry nerd. I just want to yell at people. Can I just yell at you? And then I'm like, that's why I want to do mixed genre shows, because I don't fit in with other hip hop artists.
So much better. Like, so much mixed genre shows are just so much.
Yeah, it seems a lot more fun. A lot more conversation, like real conversation.
It truly is better for the audience. And like, I've told this story probably like 100 times. Back when Eldor Rigby's was still open, we did like a festival, but it was like straight metal, and it was just all metal all the way through. There was one band, and I can't even remember any of the bands that were on the show, and there was like 9 of them, but I just remember there was one band. It was Johnny and the Lumberjacks, and I distinctly remember that they had no CD, no T-shirts, no poster, nothing. They just got up there, and they were straight up like Red Hot Chili
Kenny and the
Peppers.
Lumberjacks.
Kenny and the Lumberjacks.
Kennerjacks? Yeah, that was it.
We know them.
Dude, they were like straight up Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
And they stole the entire audience. Like that metal,
People knew the
hardcore,
music.
kick punch bullshit just stopped, and the whole audience went, I'm good with this. And like they stole the entire show. So to have diversity is gonna make the audience so much better, it's gonna make the show so much better. Sure. It's an all around win for everybody.
Because it makes sense to, like, obviously throw, like, genre-inspired shows because, you know, if they're into one band, they're going to like all of them. I mean, we played a show a couple weeks ago, and, like, you guys are heavier than us, and I love heavy music. But, you know, it's just not what we do in this band. But, I mean, the people loved it either way.
Yeah.
And it's a nice, diverse crowd. And the cool thing is, too, I mean, you pull some metal people, then you pull some pop-punk guys, then with Molly Pitch Path, you pull some classic rock guys. And no one really, like, walked out, like, pissed off that they didn't like it.
Dude, that last
But
show
it's
we did with
diverse.
you guys, it was like every band was a completely different genre.
Yeah.
And it was a packed house.
But everyone
and, like,
was dancing or
it was
moshing
it
or
was
doing
great-
something.
We thought we were
They're
so
moving.
nervous.
Yeah,
Like,
you guys
when
even
we kicked
opened
off
up.
the night. We're like, we're opening
9
tonight. We're
o'clock,
like,
metal in the
like,
face.
people are going to hate us. Dom is going to scream in this lady's face. It's Thanksgiving Eve, and she's just going to Thanksgiving Eve. It's just not going to go over. But people loved it.
9:30, 10 o'clock, people are moshing and
It was
two-stepping.
great.
Yeah, I found too for us like the best shows we've ever played, the best audience response are the ones where we're playing with a metal band, we're playing with a pop punk band, or we're playing with a some acoustic thing.
Yeah.
You know, the mix gives everybody kind of when you have genre shows where it's all the same genre, it's almost like even going to that show as an audience member, it's like you just take an ear beating no matter what the genre
It's
is.
an endurance trial.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and so
Okay,
it's
that's
nice
too much fun.
to have that change of pace.
I'm just saying, you guys have a lot of fun. I've been to I don't say nothing. I don't announce myself or anything. But I go to a lot of these, and I'm like, this is way more fun than a hip hop show.
Yo, am I
I
passing
gotta
around
do-
these Yinglings or am I drinking them?
Well,
Give me one.
I was afraid to ask.
I was in.
Would anybody like one of my beers?
I was kind of worried and scared to ask.
buddy.
I'm gonna take
At one
another
point, I
whack
found
of
myself
this
in a
sour.
mosh
Yeah,
pit.
you like that?
And
Yeah,
I've
I
never
don't think
been in
anyone's
one.
gonna miss it.
I don't know why it was.
Is that for the after show?
Where do you guys have hip hop shows? Like more like
Not in Hazleton.
not Hazleton.
The art league doesn't want to have that shit there.
I'm not a. It's scary, man. Man, like I've tried, and they're like, they try to be nice about it. No, there's another group that ruined it for you guys, and that's it.
What do you mean, you guys?
Like, exactly, exactly. They're like, no, but like the last time I did a show was here, not here, in Scranton. That's the only time I really do hip hop shows.
I always think it's funny because like the Electric City Music Conference every year always has a dedicated hip hop venue.
No, that's new.
I think it was the last like 2 or 3 years
Yep.
or something like that.
Yep.
The
And
last.
I did the last one, and it was dead.
Oh, was it?
Dead.
Oh wow.
But
Sorry, buddy.
the next night was even worse, and they had Lucas Hex, who's a very he's my I love him to death, and like we should have been on the same set because we have the same kind of energy, but it was dead. It was horrible.
That's
Like my mom was there, gimping along. She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "This is."
Yeah, Lucas goes off.
He
Like
go-
if there's
yeah.
no
I'm
one
like,
there,
"Why are you
he goes
smashing?"
off.
He smashed his head with the microphone. I'm like, "That
Yep.
I don't know."
He goes off.
I'm not that angry. Like you can have that. You stage show yours. I'm like,
Well, he's got some of the hardcore influences
Yeah,
and stuff
man.
too that
He-
play into
he has
what he
has
does.
some fun. Like I thought I was aggressive, but nah, man. And he can rap his ass off. So
See, I like what you do. I like what Lucas does. There's a couple others that around here that I like. A lot of it intimidates me as like a lame nerdy white guy that I'm gonna walk in there and they're all gonna be like, "The fuck are you doing here?" Like we're talking
you have
about
nothing to be
Yeah.
afraid of.
And it's
if,
not-
if I'm on stage,
It's not. It's not even
I'm
a phrase.
from
It's
Lake
just
Ariel.
like, am I
It's just
gonna?
racism.
Am I
That's all it is. It's not fair.
It's not.
He
a-
even said it with a bit of bells. Fuck you, Jordan.
You're good. Say that.
I'll be honest with
right.
you, Rich, I say the same thing when you come to my show. It's like, what the fuck are you doing here?
No, it's one
Rich,
of
they
those.
want
things,
an audience. Show up.
No, it's one of those things where it's not like accessible at all. You know what I mean?
Some of it, yeah.
If I'm walking in and you're talking about being a drug kingpin, it's like, I don't know the first thing
how
about
are you
that.
doing
You
that
know,
in Scranton,
you're talking
number
about a
one?
bad breakup. It's like, okay, I've had a few of those. You know,
I
it's
don't
a
know what it's
little,
like to be a drug kingpin, but I'd like to learn.
There's a guy.
Like
Maybe
me.
not wear a lot.
There's a Walter White in all of us.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a guy who tried to tell me that I should stop rapping. He's a drug kingpin from Carbondale.
Why hang out with him?
Drug
Let that sit in.
with what people are rapping.
He was selling
Vicodin.
He was selling kilos out of the trap house
Yeah.
in Carbondale.
Sounds like a real kingpin.
Well, everybody has
But
to start
but
somewhere.
when I get scrutinized because I use big words. I didn't know "the" was a big word.
It is
But
because
hey.
it's not spelled. Well, it is because they say DA.
Yeah, right.
An additional letter.
A lot of commitment issues there.
Yeah.
I can't
it's
even
real.
touch that. There's a lot of offensive things I'll do, but that's not one of them.
I feel like that's
No, I'm probably one of the most hated artists.
I think that's the important part of those shows is that I'm going to get introduced to something that I normally wouldn't go out of my way to go see, but now I'm going to enjoy it. You know, like I do some poetry readings sometimes, very rarely.
Nerd.
I like poetry.
it.
A lot of people like poetry, they just don't know it. A lot of people will show up to those things and go, "Oh, I actually really like this," or "I really dig what that person said," or
stigma
what that
attached to
person
it.
did. Exactly. It just has that you picture it's either lame or very elitist. You know, people, playing
fun to do.
bongos
You
and
can't
shit like
lie.
that.
That's-
You know,
that's
like
fun to do.
it seems kind of goofy. But then you listen to some of these people and you're like, okay, I completely relate to that. I get it now. You know, it's one of those things you have to really experience it.
It's almost like one of those things, though. It's just like tough getting into anything because, like, the intimidation factor and stuff. Doing something for the first time.
Sure.
Like, if you're not like part of the scene or whatever,
Right.
you're not very knowledgeable about it. It's like definitely nerve wracking to get into.
And it goes back to what I was saying before. It's so important for other bands to support other bands so that they
Oh,
feel
yeah.
welcome and that they can come
Yeah.
into those shows and stuff. Like, pick up the new guy. Don't like see him as competition and say, "Oh, well, I had
have
to
that,
push
though.
him out."
You
Yeah,
have
you
that.
do.
Yeah.
You absolutely
it's
do.
not-
There
it's
are some people that
definitely
treat it with
experience
that
that.
attitude.
So I haven't experienced that in the music community as short of a period we've been in it. Like I felt like, at least in NEPA or NEPA, however you prefer to say it, like
NEPA. When you say NEPA, it just warms my heart. So keep saying it.
No, don't say that.
NEPA
Let him go.
does not roll
Yeah.
off the tongue.
Neat.
But like, so I haven't experienced this elitism attitude within the bands. Like, everybody is always looking to help each other out. Like, I have yet to maybe one occasion out of the hundreds of bands we've interacted with.
I
just
really think it's gone downhill.
I just think you're not
That's
seeing it.
that's
Maybe
also
that's
new.
maybe-
You're not looking for it.
Because I've been
There's-
playing in bands for like 10 years, and like
It's
it's
just
just something
changed.
that's unnecessary that needs to stop. Like,
Juvenile.
if we all come together and like bring attention to the area, like it's better for everyone. There doesn't need to be like this competition thing. Like there's no reason to just go to a show and not be cool with people. You know,
There's
if
nothing
they're
to
cool
really
back.
gain from putting anyone else down.
Absolutely.
No, the
So-
better any one of us do, the better all of us do.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so sick of seeing old white dudes in the back of venues. Like,
That's
Are
every
you
show I've
referring
ever
to me?
done.
yeah, I'm including you. You're included in there.
I feel like it's kind of died down because I think the bands that end up being the elitist bands that try and shut other people out.
Yeah,
have
people
fucked
pick up on
themselves.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
They've
smother
really
themselves.
just, and they've always disbanded.
Yeah.
And the bands that were kind of like more unity or just kind of did their own thing instead of trying
All right,
to be
so-
part of the group
Right.
have thrived.
So I'm going
and
to
lived
challenge
on.
you. So instead of like speaking vaguely, why don't you name drop and fucking be?
They're all
be a
broke
man
up.
and
They
name
all
drop?
broke up.
That's the thing. They're not around.
Let's call these fuckers out, right?
Those bands
I
already
wanna
broke.
know.
Those bands already broke the fuck up like 10 years ago,
Okay.
so we won.
Okay.
We're good. They're pushing bolts and shit down a conveyor belt. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I know. We all have shows and like
Stop
stuff
now?
to do, but like, I at least always try and make a point to at least see most of like a band's set or whatever. Like, I'm sick of these dudes that just like go to shows, show up, and then they're just in the parking lot the whole time, and like, and then they want to use your shit, and like, you know.
No, you want to know
the
who
whole-
the elitists
the
are
whole
that I
nine
hate the
thing.
most? Are the fucking drummers who won't share their kit. Let's call those fuckers out and like shit all over them because it's totally ridiculous when you're playing a set with like 10 other bands and you got these assholes who are like, oh, don't you breaking my shit. Like, come on. Like,
I'm sorry for Friday, dude. Like, it's just gonna happen. Like, I apologize
I
for
thought
Mike in
you are
advance.
sharing your shit.
We are. I'm just apologizing in advance, dude.
No, I want to applaud the guys who don't share their shit. Be like, oh,
To be
do your own
honest,
stuff.
okay, I'm not one of those, but I can sympathize with those people because those people probably were originally okay with it, and they got fucked up.
Something happened.
It's a bad
Something
release.
happened.
Something happened.
Because
yeah.
something always
They were
happens,
hurt.
and I don't care what you say, cymbals, sticks, heads, everything, drummers is the most expensive thing
Drummers are assholes.
with turnover. So,
It's weird because
It
like we
happens.
played a show once, like this is like back in the Croc Rock era days,
Yeah.
and there was a band that was playing right before us, and it was the same thing. Everyone shared our drummer's kit. We're like, cool, we'll offer it up. Just bring your
Right.
cymbals and your breakables.
Yeah.
The band's drummer right before straight up said, not knowing our drummer was standing next to him, like, I'm gonna fuck that kid up tonight.
yeah, dude, because those people fucking exist.
Wait a minute.
And it's true.
Why?
Dude, they just think like it's not theirs. They can fuck it up, or they have like these cheat, like, oh, what the fuck is that band? Like the Chariot and shit, where they're like, I'm just gonna stage dive into the drums. I'm like, time the fuck out, dude.
No, that kind of
Whoa.
shit. If you're Chariot, you got to use your own equipment. There's no,
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
can't. I don't know if you guys have seen
Oh yeah,
what
if
they
you
do.
guys have seen the Chariot, like you
Yeah.
just,
You got a
there's no
picture.
surviving it.
Yeah.
See, why would you throw yourself in?
Why would you not? No, I mean.
like, right. You're right.
if you-
You're right.
you
Right.
know.
If you weren't paying for it, I mean, and it looked cool, you get some
Yeah.
YouTube hits on it, but like, fuck that. Like,
But
I gotta
as-
play
if
that.
as a
If me
drummer-
and him threw ourselves into,
I'm still
those
trying
drums
to
are
bring back
tough.
the guitar smashing thing. I don't know
No,
why
I can't do
that
it.
died out.
Can't do it.
As a
man.
drummer who
man.
just paid like $100 for 4 heads, I understand.
Can't do it.
It's rough, man.
Does anybody smash guitars anymore?
No.
Yes.
What have we come to?
Now if
Yes.
you're buying
Mike,
yourself,
Yeah, seriously.
Dude,
I have yet to do
next,
a mic drop either.
Next to rock.
When that
No, that's irresponsible.
That is here, and I would get beat up.
Blind choice smashed the guitar on stage, but they won. I was like, yo, you smashed and you won the show.
I thought
dude.
about it once.
when that
That was
first
like-
act endorsement
can
kicks
you
in,
apologize?
Well, I'll tell you. I will give Ace credit. When Ace was playing guitar in our band, he's now our drummer. In case you didn't catch that, but he used to set his guitar on fire at the end of every show, which is pretty badass.
All right, that's cool.
How do you do it?
I built a smoke bomb
smell?
flying V. I took the top pickup out and I would just light it during shows. It was all fun and games until we did it at a house show one night.
And we got
To
kicked
be
out.
fair, I asked first, showed them a video and everything, and then the mom comes down.
Kicked us out.
Listen,
We
no
got
more house
ejected.
fires. We're no more. No more.
Inappropriate.
Yeah, way to be insensitive, prick.
Yeah, no pyros.
That's show business.
He's on a list now, building smoke bombs in his guitars.
I'll do it for a small fee. So.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up, but I want to maybe give everybody a chance to kind of throw in maybe one last, comment, thought, whatever you want to do. Maybe we could talk about something. We've talked about the good in the area and the bad in the area. There's a little bit of both. There's more good, I think, than bad. I think the cynical people stand out more, so we talk about them more and we focus on them more. But I think the good people of the area really come through, especially in times like these where not every place is going to do this kind of stuff for you. So maybe you could talk about something you love about the local scene and maybe something you would change or that you don't like about it. We'll start maybe on this end here. Yeah, let's start over here.
Yeah.
I mean, my whole thing is just back to the whole competition thing. Like, there's no need to be stuck up at shows and with your head in the air, thinking you're the best. Like, we all have a common goal. We're all trying to just be artists and share our stuff with the world. So if you're in a band and you come to shows and you're a dick, just kind of maybe not.
So
And if you
adequate.
are in the area and you're not doing anything and you're on Facebook, just on a Friday night or Saturday night, go out and support, go to a show, go to a bar, see a comic, do whatever. But yeah, if we don't support artists and things in the local areas, it won't be around all the time. So just do your part, I guess.
John, you want to get in on that?
No.
He looks very deep.
he had heat waiting. He's like, no, I'm gonna be no. You're the bigger person.
No, I mean,
Here it comes.
Oh yeah, yep. We got him.
Pass.
We got
Damn
him.
it. Let it out, big guy. This is a safe space.
no, I'm safe. Nate's here. I'm safe.
I just want to say that Jason, well, since it's your turn, Jason Reed-Miller said, if anything burns, let it be Popko's jersey. Can I get any?
Wow. Time out. Let's get back. Well, Jason is a loser Vikings fan.
All Vikings fans are losers. Let's be clear.
And I think the Eagles beat them last year too, if I'm not mistaken. Is that
Cute
correct?
defense, bro. Cute defense.
Is that good? Is that
Hard.
now? Watch the Eagles are going to lose on Sunday. It's fine, whatever. But
Live it up till now, man.
that's why I wore it. I'm
The
like,
only time
I have
you enjoy
like
the Eagles
I have
is
like
between
4
games.
days left to wear it. I have 4 days left to wear it. Fuck you, Jason.
Hirsch says hashtag
like
Eagles
Jason,
jury.
by the
How
way.
cliche.
Go Eagles! Anybody get that joke? There was anybody get the joke? No.
No.
There was a
supposed to act
a
like
music
we did.
store, in Pittston that got robbed, and
Oh yeah. It was like, go Eagles.
yeah. You have anything to say?
Go
You
Eagles.
have anything to say? And he's go Eagles.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like,
The guy got arrested.
he's got
Yeah.
he's walking in handcuffs to the car. Anything to say?
I
Go
saw the
Eagles.
video, but I didn't know the context. I didn't know he was getting arrested for that. I thought he was just a stupid Eagles fan being dumb. So he's a typical Eagles fan.
Technically,
Same
he
thing.
was.
Yeah.
He is.
He just got arrested for being.
He robbed a music store like around here too.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
like a
it's
block
like
away
10
from my
minutes
house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
So
Is he even a musician?
Probably not. Fucking asshole.
so
He has a band. We should totally shit
things
on.
I hate about the scene.
All right.
I'm kidding.
Fair enough.
I'm kidding.
I like how he separated. He had to, like, it's like your beard and you.
Be careful which part.
They're two separate entities.
Yeah. Like,
One of these entities has more vengeance than the other, so be careful which
Bears
part of me you
fans.
hate. Okay.
I hate Bears fans.
okay.
I'm kidding.
Your turn.
I feel like every week I say something good about something, so it's like
Yeah.
I-
So you
I'm
can
ta-
complain for
I'm
once.
tapped out.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. My honestly, my biggest complaint, and I'm working on an editorial about this. I've been kind of putting it in the back of my mind for a while, and I want to put it out there and see what people think. But to summarize, I think the music scene and the art scene around here is fantastic. The fans absolutely suck. You people need to pick it up. You need to actually go to shows. Stop being lazy shits. Stop sitting on
And be willing
Facebook
to
all
pay
day. And I
$5
know the
for a
irony
cover.
of me telling you to tune into this show and then whining about people on Facebook. I get it. But it's a Wednesday night. There's probably not a lot going
This is
on.
just a message to get you to the weekend.
Yes, exactly.
Showing that into
exactly.
the camera just created an endless loop, and that's all I can think about.
Yes.
So someone do something with that. But
That's a meme.
But seriously, like, please actually come out to stuff and pay. Like, we got a lot of comments, a lot of shares today on some SNL comedians coming to the Kirby Center.
Yeah, I
Kudos
saw that,
to Will for getting that show. It's a last minute thing. He got them to come to Wilkes-Barre. That's awesome, and it's cool that everybody's sharing that and talking about it and everything too. I would love to see half as many on any local band, local artist. Please actually like click and pay attention. Like, you see people, I even saw somebody in the comments today, how much are tickets? Click on the fucking article and it'll tell you how much there are tickets. Same thing, there's so many bands that we promote every day, and if you don't immediately recognize who they are, maybe even this show, you might not recognize one of these guys on the couch and go, okay, I'll watch the next one when I recognize who it is. The whole point of this is to tell you about people you don't know about already. So check it out. Actually go and listen to some music, discover something new. I think that's so important. People do not do that enough. And in a world where people are very strong about giving their opinions on social media and very strongly telling people that they're independent thinkers, they really let the record industries decide who they listen to nowadays. Like, maybe you should do a little free thinking and actually like find your own music instead of listening to whatever corporate advertisement comes through or whatever Spotify tells you is you should be listening to in this playlist or whatever. Maybe actually go out and discover things.
There's a
So-
great show.
much here.
There's a
Thank
great
you.
show on Saturday nights. I don't know if you guys know that or
Yes, there is a good show. His show
Natives.
playing local music to the point where other radio stations
think
are like, we should
everyone
be doing
here-
that.
Yes,
too.
everyone here
Except
is
for
on.
Zach has been on it. Yeah.
I think it was
Well, that's
pretty
because
incredible.
everyone else is an artist.
I'm a fucking court jester. I'm well aware of this. And I can't even fucking juggle. It's pathetic.
My positive thing,
Keep it
though,
coming.
as if I don't push enough positivity through the site, is that this community has been amazing to me and my family, and we're eternally grateful, and we could never pay any of that back. So thank you.
So
Thank
don't
you
ask.
for doing that.
Stop asking questions.
All right, you, sir.
Positive.
Yes.
Well,
No pressure.
Yeah.
I do appreciate how the rock scene has been receptive of me as like when I reach out to do shows and like these mixed genre shows, these ideas, like you guys are receptive. Even this show, like having me, someone who doesn't do the same kind of music, like even I'm not even doing performing, just that I'm there. I appreciate that, and you guys like welcome me in. That's a big thing, and like I think more of that needs to happen. And the negative thing is when you see somebody doing something different than what you normally see them doing, why are you mad? It's not affecting you negatively. Shut up. Let them do it. If they fail, they fail. It still doesn't affect you. Get over yourselves.
I think that's like worldwide, not just this area. I
Right.
think people love to see people fail.
Oh, absolutely.
And if people are trying to do something new and different, and like they just shit on them. It's like,
Right.
just fuck-
Well, it's because I mean,
They
it's the
can't
same-
do
it's- I
it
mean, it's
for
like
starters.
elementary school. It's like
Right.
it makes you feel
Yep.
better
That's a
by
big part
shitting
of
on
Exactly.
someone you think is better than you. You think you're bringing them down and elevating yourself.
Did they
You,
like
you,
notice?
you give us, if you're talking negatively about any of us, you're giving us free publicity to people who don't know who we are.
and motivation.
Yeah, so
Thanks,
stop
guys.
doing that.
No, shit all over us. Please.
If you don't
Bring it.
want us to win, stop talking about us. True.
All right.
We're the same
who
band.
is
so
he?
it
Yeah,
counts
we're-
for me.
Yeah,
Who is he?
Hold on, wait, just for the
It's Nate
record,
Williams.
we started this off, and I don't even know
Yeah, we
half
didn't
who half these
introduce-
people are. in this
I
room.
mean, I know you and the rest of you. I don't know you.
Adam Mitch for anytime soon for you guys
This is
that don't
Mitch,
know.
okay.
Mitch, Adam.
Anytime soon.
Ironically, when you could have been
on
on
the show, yeah. I mean, Will, I know that him and his band's been around for a long time. We've been around. I think we just came out 2 years. Like to say people just trying to get out and start a band, just do it. Play the shows and you'll get the support. People are gonna, make passes and shit on you, but honestly, just fuck them and do it. And the right people are gonna recognize you, and that's what's great about.
When you go into it, you think that there's going to be a lot of rivalry and stuff, but I mean, for the most part, that's a tiny percentage of it, and it's usually backhanded too. Like, most people are more than happy to support you and help you out. Like, no one's hoarding that knowledge,
Yeah, just go and do it, and most people will be supportive. And honestly, if they don't, fuck them, because you'll write good music about it.
It'll make a good song.
It'll make a good song, and like we've faced some people that have said some things. We've heard them say things about our band. We don't. Who cares? Who are they? We do like we're successful.
Still playing
we're
shows.
we're
People are still
successful to
coming.
ourselves because we put out a 5-song EP that we're gonna have on our shelf for the rest of our lives. Like show our grandkids that shit. Who cares? We don't go anywhere with it. If we do, if we don't, it's all fun playing the music, making music. And
Breaking
that's
goals every year.
And all they have is vague Facebook
Yeah.
statuses.
You're getting timed out.
Losers.
so
1 year ago, you were a dick.
Oh, imagine that. Oh, that notification. Oh,
So that's what's great about the music scene in this area. There's so many opportunities. The bar owners are great around here. Like, don't be intimidated. Bar owners want to hear your music. They want you to come into their bar and make the money, and you want to make that money because you're making money, and it's a circle that goes around.
Not that much money, but like a little bit of money.
So get out there, contact people. You can do it.
Network
yourselves, and you could make yourselves happy, bar owners happy, get some fans.
Do what you want. Do what makes you happy.
Yeah. And the haters, fuck them.
Not literally.
Yeah.
Really.
Unless they're hot. If the hater's hot, you don't have a choice.
He has a point. We're married. We can't say
No
this.
matter the gender.
I'm good. I did mine with him.
I like how hard the scene, or at least the area, makes you work to be better. Because as much as you said, like, the audiences are assholes and they don't come out for things, the ones that do come out, if you give them a reason to come back, they typically will, or at least they'll know, like, oh, if that person's on the bill, at least that portion of the show is going to be really good. So that's the good thing about it, is that they make you work way fucking harder than you would in a lot of other areas to get better, because you have to entertain them. The thing that sucks is that everybody uses that as a reason to not try as hard. Because they go, well, they suck anyways, so why should I try? And they just let it defeat them every single time. It's like, well, no, you decided to do this. It's your responsibility to entertain them. So you got to figure out the fucking puzzle and what's going to make them, be entertained and laugh. And it's worked out for me. And if I can fucking do it, anybody can definitely do it. It's not difficult. It's just a lot of hard work. That's it. Just work your ass off, and that's what this area makes you do. If you really want to be successful, this area will make you work your ass off to do it.
Amen.
Sink or swim.
Yep.
Damn, like everyone had like really good answers.
The thing that sucks for you guys is working with Mike, so you can start there.
That's true. Working with Mike is rough. We love
Hi, Mike.
The best thing about the NEPA scene is just the vast well of talent. Like
so much
it's just
talent.
it's untappable. Like every time I go out and I do a lot of like live sound, I'll just have I'll have a show with like 3 bands I've never heard of before, and 3 of them will just blow me away. Like, you guys are just that close to being like on the level where you can be a touring act or professional recording act, and you're on the level and write great songs, because that's the most important thing any band can do is write great songs and material that people relate to and can connect to and everything. The downside to being here, I think Zach really touched on it, and I was kind of stole my answer, is bands are afraid to work. Bands are afraid of the grind. It's like, okay, I played a show Saturday, we did good, we got paid. Like, no, it's not over. You go home Sunday, go to a flea market, put up a pop-up tent, sell your CD, sell your Spotify shit. Monday comes around, like, well, we'll practice once a week or something like that. Like, no, dude, like, you have to be on your game with practice, you have to be on your game with promotion, you have to be on your game with promoting, you have to be hustling, going to other band shows, networking, the whole thing. Like, it's a constant grind, and it really is a lifestyle acceptance. Because if it all goes well, you will never be home. If it all goes according to plan, you will never be comfortable. It's the whole point of being in the industry. You'll live in a van or a mobile unit.
Down by the river?
Down by the river. You're constantly on the grind, and once it's over and you do it once, the expectation is you do it again but better. So the constant work and the constant grind is something that I think eludes good bands from it being great. And I think that's something that really needs to be stepped up, is the work ethic.
What was the question?
How do you say it?
Something
Podcast?
something good about the area, something bad.
Something good about NEPA, something bad about NEPA.
Oh, you did it.
So I say the good. I mean, there's way more good than there is bad. I think the good is, even just like stuff like this. The fact that we have so many people who, it's one thing as an artist to go and write songs and do the work or whatever, but when you have a community of people who are willing to like help elevate you and boost you, that's huge. Whether it's 92.1 Alt 92.1. There's no point in there. Just make sure we're all on the
Just
same
to
page.
clarify.
Yeah.
Just to know what's
Alt 92.1 or NEPA Scene Podcast. Guys like this, like, no, seriously, you guys go, elevate what we do for nothing, right? Like, we do a lot of work, but then you go above and beyond. So having that amazing community, having an amazing community of other bands who are, who never seen you play or heard you and willing to put you in on a show. I mean, we're new. We're probably the newest to this game in this room, and just the outpouring of support we've had from whether it's other bands, whether it's e-zines or I don't know, what do you call the what do you call NEPA?
Online publication, I
publications, or old-fashioned radio stations, and who spin your music constantly. Those are all huge pluses. I think the downside, probably the most frustrating thing for me, is dealing with bands who don't put in the work, like you said, who and without and who expect, like, why didn't you put me on this show? Well, dude, I'm sorry, but there's so, and the truthfully is there's so much high caliber of talent to pick from, and there's so many people, so many bands that think they deserve things, and they don't put in the effort, and to be honest with you, they're terrible.
Trash.
Like, and honestly, I think the thing that we can all, and this will sound elitist, and it's not meant to at all, but like the biggest favor you can do for bands that are terrible is fucking tell them that. Because what happens is it's like, oh my God, you put out a song, that must mean if it's on Spotify, you're instantly like deserve all this recognition. I mean, guys like you must deal with this constantly, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been given stuff, and it's like I've never told someone that it sucks.
Obviously,
Right.
yeah.
But I just don't
facetious,
play
but
it. But like,
yeah.
like part of me
Hope
wants
they
to tell
catch
them because like I'm not going to tell you that it's not good because
Dude,
I want
do
to
it.
put you down. I want to tell you it's not good because I want you to be better.
So this is what
Yeah.
I think
They don't
we all need to
interpret it
figure
that
out.
way.
We all
No,
need to figure
that's
out
the
a way.
problem.
You have to phrase it right.
Yeah, we all need to figure out a way of communicating this because
Don't
it's
let Zach
tough.
do it. Don't let Zach do
We
it.
just funnel everything.
If we're
to
trying to
Zach.
make them better,
We've done this a bunch of times, and like I'm sure like
it'll just hurt. It'll just hurt.
we get a lot of shit on it. Is I'll get a message from a band, either whether they're just starting out or like, yo, can we open for you or can we play with you? I'm like, cool, send me music, and they'll send me like a song, and like I feel like maybe my music ear is developing up. Like I can look past a crappy demo to hear like the band
Good
is
quality
good.
song.
The song is there, the band is good. It's just the demo isn't good.
Yeah.
And then there's some stuff I get. I'm like, this is shit.
Yeah.
And I have to tell them like, dude, I can't put you on a show because our fans will hate you.
Yeah.
And the owner of the bar or the owner of the club will hate you.
Yeah.
The other bands on the show are going to be resentful because they're like, this dude took my half hour.
Yeah.
So like, if you tell them constructively, like
I blame
this has to be better.
I blame all the family members for years of them growing up.
You are so good,
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Yeah,
You're
exactly,
so good.
Exactly.
So fire.
No, I mean, there's really
Yeah, that
not.
needs to stop.
Yeah.
Can we just stop that for a minute?
Yeah, stop supporting your loved
This
ones.
is the great
Fucking ruining their lives.
Everyone gets a
greatest
ribbon.
rap.
I get it.
Go against
Right.
nature and tell your son he's awful.
I got
Do
it.
what my parents did.
Listen, Michael got an acoustic guitar for Christmas, and he learned Wonderwall. He plays it great, okay? But can we just stop forever? Like,
It's not getting better because everyone gets a ribbon.
no, that's the thing.
Don't get me started. That's another rabbit hole we do not want to go down
Yes.
tonight. But but honestly, there's not a lot of negative, and like we've felt for the short period of time we've been involved with this, like we have felt outpouring of support from whether it's bands, venues, sound guys. Some of our like the best feedback we've ever got was from sound guys because honestly, we've played to so many empty rooms where the only guys there were the sound guys, and so most of our biggest fans are sound guys, I think.
And to be fair, that means the most. 'Cause you guys have to put up with a lot of
yeah,
shit.
seriously.
I like you guys. You guys are sick.
And so I really don't have a lot of negative things to say at all. To be honest, it's been great, and we're just happy to be a part of. There's so many areas that have a shitty music scene, who where it's very self-serving. It's very like all about so many people have publications that do it because they were trying to promote themselves.
Right.
I'm sure you've all witnessed
Can't
this.
stand it.
Yeah, me neither. And it's great. I think this is this particular area. and what you guys do with NEPA Scene or NEPA Scene, however you prefer to say it, like you broke you broke me. I can't quit you. Is phenomenal, and we're grateful to be a part of this ride.
Well, I'm grateful for all you guys. I'm sorry we went over time, so we got to wrap up. But thank you all for tuning in tonight and watching us discuss random stuff and bust each other's balls and all that kind of shit. But please come out to the Kirby Center. Don't be one of those people that I just horribly ranted about earlier. At the FM Kirby Center, Friday, January 18th, Lifer, Behind the Gray, The Crowning, Send Request, Anytime Soon, Noxen, Nate Williams, Zack Hammond, and Dan Hoppel are all performing. It's going to be a great night.
Any comedians?
dude,
Anybody that's funny?
Outside of
I'm not rapping.
outside of the fact that like it's great for a great cause, like that lineup is like
It's really solid.
Insane.
Like
It
Scott
really
did an
is.
incredible job putting that together. So I appreciate that so much. And if you can't make it to that show, the Irish Wolf Pub, Sunday, January 27th, 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. The Scripts, Reach for the Sky, Threat Point, The Crowning, Traverse the Abyss, Will Row Hood, and Lauren on the Keys. Thank you all for doing that as well. We'll definitely be at that show, and we'll cover that, and we'll talk about that more on the show. Anybody, the basket raffles we got for this show at the Kirby Center: Musical Energy, Gallery of Sound, Steve Corbett, Lifer, After Image Studios, Scott Nichols, Andrea Bartlett Smith, Anytime Soon, Comics on the Green, Loyalty Barbershop, Electric City Tattoo, Dino's Pizza Express, Northeast Snacks, and posters from Center City Print. Thank you all to you guys as well, and anybody else who donates. Anybody who donated to the GoFundMe, all that kind of stuff. It's gone a long way, and it's helped a lot. So thank you all so much. And we will see you at that show. We'll be here next week as well to do another show Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m. So make sure that you tune in and watch that as well.
the Crowning's playing both shows.
They are playing both.
They must be bored
They're
as
doing
fuck.
they
must be bored as fuck.
Yep.
Yeah, the grinder game hasn't been promising lately. So.
It's true. It's true.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you next time.
Sweet.